Tom here, and it's time for another update. I guess we can take this one down since that project is done and out the door, which means it is time for the next project. We've been putting this one off for a while, since the move, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm still recovering from surgery. You guys are probably sick of hearing about it. I'm sick of talking about it, frankly, but it does still slow me down. That being said, we're going to do our best, right? So here's the design I came up with for the sign. And you know what? Let's cut to some video in Fusion 360. That's what I did when I drew this in. So let's go to Fusion. Let's take a look at it, and we'll come back. Okay. Let's take a look at the stand. As you can see, the title I did here was called 2-inch tubing, because I had originally planned on just doing everything out of 2-inch square tubing that I had in stock, right? So we're in Fusion 360, we're looking at the drawing, and what I realized after I did the drawing was that I didn't have enough 2-inch tubing to do the whole thing, but I had an awful lot of 2x3. On top of that, what I noticed was the mounting holes here at the top. The mounting holes, when we did it in 2-inch, and let's do a little rotate here. Let's say shift and turn. If I had done that from 2 inches, right, it would put it awfully close to the side. Right? If you kind of look at where it would be, I was a little concerned about how close the holes were going to be to the edge of the material. So it actually was fortuitous that I didn't have enough 2-inch tubing. So I went back and I made some changes and cleaned it up. But this is what effectively what we made here. We made a new stand for the mill. There are holes here for the for leveling feet. I was just screwing around using graphics I had and trying some things out in Fusion 360 here. But so I put my logo on the front there. But so this is it, right? There's not a whole lot to it. If we look at it from the front, right, pretty straightforward. Tell you what, let's try some of these new keyboard shortcuts. If we do dimensioning, oh, I can't do dimensioning when I'm in the model like this. I have to go to the sketches. I don't know if I have that in the sketch. Do I have that in the sketch? Yeah, I don't think I did. I think I did it other ways. I extruded it from the side. Well, I can do some inspect. Here we go. Inspect, measure. That was what I needed. So this line, if we check that out, 15.75 inches. So our width, 15.75. Our next dimension is our height. Right? And actually what we're looking at is this inside height, right? Because we know you've got to subtract that height. So we're looking for our inside height, because this is going to rest on the uprights. We want, let's move this a little bit so you can think about the design itself. We want the weight to be supported straight, right? We want it to be a linear support. We don't want the weight to be supported on welds. We want it to basically support itself, and the welds are there to stabilize the structure. Right? So when we're looking at those dimensions there, our height came out to be 22.75, right? And that's doing that height there. Just close that. Let's go back to our front view, and we'll measure our bottom pieces that we did, 23.75 inches. Right? If we switch to the side view, we can see that the tops are 24 inches deep. Right? Pretty straightforward on that one. Nothing terribly crazy about this. And then the only other thing that I ran into when I was getting ready to, sometimes I don't always move this very well. The only other thing that I ran into when I was actually doing assembly was I needed to, I couldn't remember this dimension right here, which I offset everything 4 inches, right? So when I actually put it all together, I had to go back and and look at the drawings and figure that out. What's nice about this though is it very quickly lent itself to a cut list. I was able to go into Excel and say, okay, well I need 4 of these uprights, right? So I just basically did what I just did. Now I went through and I did my measurements. I need 4 uprights. I need 2 bases, or 2 pieces for the front, 2 pieces for the back, and then the depth, the 2 pieces for the depth, which those pieces actually came out to be 18 inches deep, right? Because we have 3 inches here, 3 inches here. So 3 plus 3 plus 18 is the same as our 24 inches, right? So not a whole lot on that. Looking at it, I don't know if that was a better view or not. Looking at it from the bottom here, the holes, all of the holes pass all the way through, and the only thing that I was truly concerned about in all of this is making sure that there was, let's zoom in here, making sure that I was going to have clearance for the mounting holes, right? And sure enough, we do. We've got plenty of room in there. There's, I could put an inch or 3/4 of an inch on either side of this, so 1.5 inch diameter. So it wasn't too bad, but it did make things a whole lot faster. It didn't take long to model this. It didn't take long to make the changes that I needed to make it 2x3 instead of 2x2. Fusion's made this much simpler for me to do my designs, get my cut list, check to make sure that I had the material that I needed, because once I had my cut list, I could determine how much material I needed. So I was basically working on a BOM, right? My bill of materials. And I realized that I had everything. If I switched to the 2x3, I had everything that I needed. The only thing that I did that I probably, in retrospect, would not do again, and it'll show up in the next video of all this. I don't know if I'm going to show any of it in this particular video because this one's running a little long. I went with a simple base, but then I made things complicated on the top. That was my mistake. What I did for the base is I just cut the tubing at 90 degrees, right? I cut the base at 90 degrees, there's open ends, right? Technically I could have done a shell command and made it look that way. Actually, you know what, let's see if we can do that. Let's try it. I don't know that I've done a shell in this version. So if we take that and inside thickness 0.125, okay. See what it did though? Even though there was a cut, I don't know if you guys can see that. When I made the shell, look, can you guys see that? It also, that's interesting how it did that. I need to figure out that part. Yeah, so it made it hollow, but I would need to fill that gap. Interesting. And then the holes, for whatever reason, I guess maybe I have to select that too. So I'm sure I did something wrong in the shell command when I did it, but we'll just put that back for now. It was really just to illustrate simplicity, right? Kept it simple. On the top, I didn't. I went for mitered corners, right? 45-degree mitered corners. I shouldn't have done that. There was no reason to do it. The only reason why I did it was I was like, well, I want this to be sealed up. I don't want to necessarily have exposed portions in here. It's got friggin' holes in it. It's already exposed. There's no reason not to do it. I should have stuck with the simple method, because you know what? The bottom was a whole heck of a lot easier to assemble than the top was. And now that this was one of the first drawings I did in Fusion, and I'm starting to notice things about this drawing that I don't like. I'll probably go back and redraw it. Like every time I hover over the base, right, this plane here, I see how the uprights are actually going through it. They shouldn't have gone through it. Maybe that's why this didn't project properly. So I may go back and redraw this. I don't know. Frankly, it was there more as a visual aid. I knew I wasn't actually making anything using the design itself, other than just trying to make sure that I had all of the pieces in place. So I think you guys have seen enough here. I think you've heard me ramble long enough. Let's stop this, and maybe we'll go into, depending on how long this video was, I might go in and show you a little bit more about just getting the parts cut. Alright, so one of the nice things about doing this in Fusion is it gave me, I was able to come up with a cut list. So what I did was I actually went ahead, I'm going to keep this around because it's going to help me as I'm going through all this, but it was nice in that I knew that what my cuts were going to be. I know you guys can't read that, but it's there. So we've got 2x2 pieces. We need 4 of them. They're the uprights. They're going to be 22 3/4 inch length, 90 degrees. Then we'll switch to our 2x3s, 18 inches, 90 degrees. I need 2 of those for the bottom for the depth. I need 2 more 2x3. That's 23 3/4 at 90 degrees. That's the width. And then the rest are 2x3s, but I'll switch over to 45-degree angle. Right? Sorry, I've been staring at this reading. But we'll switch to 45-degree angle, and we'll do our last 2 cuts there. I don't really need to do mitered cuts. I could probably just do flat cuts, but I decided that I felt like doing it, so that's what I'm going to do. So 24 inch, 2 at 24 inch and 2 at 15 3/4 inch. So that's the plan for right now. I will go ahead and get to cutting, and I'll bring you back a little bit later. Alright, let's take a look at how I'm doing my layout. While this isn't absolutely precise, the important thing is that they're identical, right? So I'm doing the exact same method each time I do this. So I pull it tight. I'm doing 22 3/4. So I place the scribe tip at the 3/4, and I go there twice, just like I was doing with wood, right? I make a little V, so that tip, that point that I'm going towards, is lining me up there. And I come in with my little square here, and I set the tip into that point. I don't know if you guys can see or not from that angle, but I set the tip into that point, and I bring the square to the tip. And then I just come in, give it a couple of scribe lines, and you should be able to see it there. Now I've been taking my cuts so that the edge of the blade, carbide tip of the blade, just kisses that scribe line. So when I look at my cuts, I can see where my line was, but I'm kind of splitting the line. So it should be pretty darn close to the actual measurement that I was shooting for. So what I do is I line it up. I don't have great lighting here, guys. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but I'll do my best. So I just kind of make sure that I'm squared in here. I snug it just a hair. You can't see that because I've got you zoomed in. I bring the blade down, and I can see that I'm way offset, right? So what I do is I just loosen it up so that I can move it a little bit, and I start bringing it over until I'm close. I'm gonna tap just a little bit there, and then what I do is I'll snug it up again. Just make sure that I let it slip. Alright, so it's snugged up, and then I'll take the blade, and I'll just move the blade to make sure that it's following that line right where I would expect it to be. I don't know how well you guys can see that, my hand in the way. Effectively, I just kind of make sure that the blade carbide is going right along that, it's just kissing that line there. So, one more snug, make sure it's not going anywhere. Safety on. Sorry guys, it'll be loud, cover your ears. Sounds like I have some broken teeth on the oh, it went on a focus and everything. Great. I don't know if you guys saw any of that, but that to me sounds like I've got some broken teeth. on this blade, so I think it's time to replace this blade.